88. We're looking at graduation requirement number 4, which is American institutions. This is also a general education requirement, but for now we're just focusing on it as a graduation requirement. To fulfill this requirement, students must demonstrate understanding in 3 different components. The components are American history, the United States Constitution, and California state and local government. The student can satisfy all 3 components with 2 scores. So, on the right side of page 88, it states the different ways you can satisfy American institutions. So item A is a pair of SDSU courses. Item B is transfer courses from California colleges and universities. And item C is transfer courses from outside of California or AP credit. Now, the exception is the California state and local government. You can never satisfy the California state and local government requirement with a course taken outside California or from advanced placement credit. And they will not satisfy this requirement. Any questions on that? Okay. So at orientation, you may be helping students select SDSU courses to fulfill the American Institutions requirement. So the catalog lists the courses in pairs, and by taking a pair of courses at SDSU, the requirement for all 3 components will be fulfilled. Each American Institution course at SDSU fulfills a unique combination of the components. If the student has transfer courses from outside California or AP credit, remember AP is a national exam, no matter what, these courses cannot clear the California state and local government since they don't cover that information. So if a student comes in with the equivalent of History 109 and History 110 with advanced placement credit, even though it's History 110 because it's advanced placement, it cannot clear the California state and local government.
Could it clear it if they were in-state though? Or no? Like if you were an in-state student and you took like AP government in high school?
No, AP will never cover it.
Never cover it.
Yeah, because and that's a good question.
Yeah.
The question is if they took the AP in the state of California because, well, they're in a California high school, right? But the answer is still no because AP itself is a national exam.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But if they took a class equivalent to it that covers it in California?
Like at a community college?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be area B.
Okay.
Yep, that would be transfer courses, specifically talking about like if the student while in high school took a class at San Diego Community College that equaled our History 110, then yeah, that would count because it's within the state of California. Great question. Any other questions on that? Okay. All right. So let's look at some examples. So I already used history, we'll go back to the History 109 and 110. So if you go to page 470 and you look at the AP chart, you'll see that the U.S. History exam on the left, a score of 3 or higher, will be awarded credit in the course numbers History 109 and 110. But when you look at what else it satisfies, you'll see that the only 2 components it satisfies are the American history and the United States Constitution requirements. Okay, again, it won't satisfy the California government. So, in the event that this is a situation for the student, they have AP credit for History 109 and 110, what they'll do is they'll go back to page 88 and they'll look at item C3 for other ways they may satisfy the California government component. Okay, item A states that they can take and pass the California government exam offered by the test office. Taking and passing this exam will clear the California state and local government requirement for graduation, but the students will not earn units and they won't earn a grade. It's just a test that satisfies the requirement. The other option, item B, is to take another course at SDSU that is in the select from list of courses that do cover California government. So all courses in Area B cover the California government component. But it's important to note to the student, they do not want to repeat a course in which they just received credit in. So they don't want to retake History 110 because they won't earn any units because they already have credit in it. So they'll want to take something else from that list so that they can get credit in the grade. Students don't have to take courses in pairs, so you don't have to take Political Science 101 and 102, but you want to be careful as to which courses you take to fulfill all three components. One of the easiest ways to see if you want to take courses not in a pair is by looking at your degree evaluation under the American Institutions requirement, and in session 7, when we go over degree evaluation, we'll talk about that. It'll list all the courses. So for example, if a student took History 109 and Political Science 101, they will not have cleared all three requirements. Okay? Because neither one of those will cover the Cal State local government. Does that make sense? Awesome. So just to piggyback, just remember that each American Institution's SDSU course will fulfill a unique combination of American Institution's components. So if you look at History 109, that fulfills the American history and the Constitution. And again, you can either look at the course description. Some of the course descriptions of AI courses will state which components they fulfill. Or, like I mentioned, the easiest way to do is look at the degree evaluation. Any questions? Okay. Oh. Okay. So let's look at a question. So which of the following will fulfill the California state and local government component of American institutions? Taking Political Science 102 equivalent at Arizona State University, taking History 110 equivalent at Colorado State University, receiving AP credit for Political Science 102, or passing the California government exam. B, passing the California government exam. So in addition to AP, just remember those out-of-state courses also, even though they're the direct equivalents, they won't pass the California component. Okay, the next question is, which SDSU courses below will fulfill the California government component of American institutions? Africana Studies 170B, Chicano Studies 120B, Political Science 102, Women's Studies 341B, all of the above. All of the above. If you look on page 88, item C, number 3B, you'll see all those courses listed there. Any questions?
There's a question.
Yes. Thank you.
When you're taking that California government exam, is there like a set amount of time that you could take it similar to the FOR, or the WPA, sorry?
So, yeah, no, that's a great question. The test office is in charge of that exam. That's kind of a hard answer, or hard question to answer, only because on the website it states that you are allowed to take the test twice. I have heard from students in the past they were allowed to take it more than twice. And then I heard the following year that the test office was upholding that rule. So I would refer the students to the test office to see how many times they can take that test. Since it's not within our office, I can't really control the information. You could also look on the test office and see if it still says that. Maybe it's changed since then. Another thing with the test, we'll talk about something else, but just to say about the test is something to keep in your own mind, especially our transfer students that are interested in taking this test because they want to, just fulfill the requirement as quickly as possible. It's definitely important to refer them to the test office website so they can find out more about the test. There are free study guides for the American Institutions Cal State Local Government test, but if they buy the study guide, it's a $250 manual. And if the student did not attend high school in California, like take me for example, coming from Massachusetts, I probably wouldn't be very successful on that test, right? because I don't know anything about, or wouldn't have known anything about California state and local government. And I wouldn't have had any exposure to it in high school, because I took my history class in Massachusetts. Now, maybe I purchased that test guide, and maybe I study really well, and I'm a good test taker, and I can still pass it. So it's not that we want to discourage students, we just want to be clear that it is a pretty comprehensive exam, and they can certainly look at that as an option, or they can look at just taking another course from that list. Yes?
And you can get the study guides from the testing office?
They have the link to where you can go to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we sell it here on campus, but I know it's sold in like bigger bookstores off campus, and then I think you probably get it on Amazon as well.
And the free one?
There's 3
They would have the links to that
Okay,
as well.
thanks.
Yep.
There's 3 copies in the library.
Oh, apparently there's copies in the library as well.
Yeah, there's like 3 different versions. There's like the news version and then one from a couple of years. There's 2 from a couple of years ago. But if you decide to take the test, then they're gonna be gone like a week before.
Okay, is that how it works? Just luck. Has anyone in this room taken that test? Have you?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, I didn't pass, but like, I also chalk that up to the fact that I didn't get the study guide. Cause like, the way the test is supposedly it's tailored to that specific study guide. So as long as you get it and you study from it, then, and like, you do well, then like, but you
Okay.
just have to get a 60 on the test to pass, so essentially like a D.
But so that's it, and you attended high school in California?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a really good example that it's an option, but it's not necessarily the end all be all. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like piggybacking on that. My roommate took the test and she like only found stuff online. She didn't even know that there was a study guide, and she said it was the hardest thing of her life. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and she went to a high school in California, so.
Yeah, and I've heard that from other students, and I don't want to discourage students from having that as an option, but I definitely want them to be aware that the other option is just taking a class from the list that they don't already have credit in. Okay. So if we look on page 88 and we look under the American Institutions item D, there's a footnote. So the bottom line to remember, if the student has AP or transfer credit in one of our AI courses, but the course didn't satisfy the same requirements as our course does, they want to choose a different American Institutions course to satisfy the remaining requirement. Okay, so if they came in with History 110 from University of Massachusetts Amherst, it's not going to satisfy the same thing that our History 110 does. They'll just want to select another course from that list. Okay? And we want them to do this because they can't take a course that they already have credit in. They're not going to receive credit or a grade, and we want them to receive credit and a grade. Okay, any questions on that? Yes.
So let's say I'm working with a political science major student, and they have to take like political science 101 as like a pre-major course. Would that count for this requirement as well, or do they have to take a whole separate like course?
No, it'll double count.
Okay.
Yep, because it's the lower division, it'll count. Yep. Yes.
So for engineering students, I know with American institutions, you can substitute one of the lower division with an upper division. Will we be like explaining that to the students as well? Orientation? Because I know like that was a surprise for me when I found out, and I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
When we cover degree evaluation, so the question is specifically about engineering students and American institutions. First of all, that only pertains to engineering students that are in catalog 2015 or forward. In session 7, one of my degree evaluations example is an engineering student, so we'll talk about that. There's also, even though these majors have standard patterns, they have special provisions, and those are sciences and maths. They're also allowed to do something a little kind of double dip-ish. And we'll talk about that a little further down the line. Yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions? Okay. All right, so now we're going to switch gears to language requirements. So anything else about American institutions before we move on?